This is part two of chapter number three, and in this chapter, again, we are going to build upon whatever information that we have talked about in part number one. So, I hope you're able to understand, and it is quite easy a chapter. Let's carry on. So, in the previous part, we talked about Mahabharat, the saga. We also read about the definition of family and how it differed from culture to culture. We also talked about the idea of patrilineal. So, building on the same idea of patrilineal, let's carry on with another subtopic, which is rules of marriage. So, as I told you, that sons were considered to be the true successors of their fathers. So, obviously, sons were considered to be more important than their daughters for the continuity of patrilineage. यानी आपकी फैमिली को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए एक सन की ज़्यादा importance थी as compared to daughters, because daughters were considered to be leaving their families when they get married, so they were considerably less important than the sons. So the daughters did not have any claims to the resources of the household because they were not succeeding the family, so obviously they did not get any share in the property. At the same time, marrying inside the kin of the family, यानी कि अपने ही गोत्र में to get married was not considered desirable. It was in fact considered a felony, and you must have heard it in your day-to-day general life also. Even now people think that marrying in their own gotra is not correct. So this type of system, that is marrying outside one's own gotra, this is called exogamy. Exo means outside, so exogamy, gamy is related to marriage. So exogamy means marriage outside the unit. And something opposite to exogamy is endogamy. Endo means marrying within a unit, and this unit can be anything. It can be caste, it can be kinship, or it can be a group living in the same locality, etc. So this definition differs from place to place or culture to culture, but that is how it is. Apart from that, there are two another terms which are given here is polygyny and polyandry. So polygyny, as you know, that men used to have several wives at the same time in the ancient period. So that practice of having more than one uh, wife is called polygyny. And polyandry is a woman having several husbands. The most famous example is from Mahabharata itself, that is Draupadi. She had 5 husbands at the same time. So that is an example of polyandry. So, apart from exogamy, which was considered to be important for the families, the parents had to be very agile or very strict about marrying their daughter at the right time and with the right person, because with the daughters, the family's repute was being connected. If there was any sort of rumor against their daughters, or if they were not married at the correct time, or if they were not married with the correct person, then it might lead to a bad name for the family, and that is why the parents had to be extra cautious when they were marrying their daughters. So this gave rise to the belief of Kanyadan becoming a very important religious duty of the father, and even today Kanyadan is considered to be one of the most important ritual during the time of marriage. So after this, important part is that with the passing of time, the rules started changing. Like people starting getting aware of various cultures around the world, and everywhere it wasn't the norm that exogamy has to be practiced, or they started coming into contact with different sort of cultures, like European cultures, people practicing different practices in marriage. So this started leading to changes in the already set norms. So this actually challenged the authority of Brahmins, who were actually laying down these codes for the social behavior. So in order to reduce these sorts of challenges, Brahmanas started composing the Sanskrit texts from circa 500 BCE, which are popularly known as Dharma Sutras and Dharma Shastras. One of the most important such Smriti is Manu Smriti. You must have heard Manu, the lawgiver. So it was compiled between 200 BCE to 200 CE. So these important texts were laid down by Brahmans in order to make sure that people follow the rules which have been laid by the Brahmanas. And with time, these Brahmanas made it popular that if people do not follow these rules laid by them, then this is only going to bring loss and lack of prosperity for their families. So people, out of the fear of challenging the Brahmanas, they started following these Dharma Sutras and Dharma Shastras. And this is one of the ways how Brahmins tried to maintain the status quo in the society. Status quo means to maintain a sort of stability in the society and not have too much changes in the society. So, while the Brahman authors of these texts claimed that their point of view had universal validity, that means that Brahmins wanted these codes to be followed universally by everybody, whether they belong to different region, their religion was different, or any sort of place. They wanted these codes to be universally applicable, but obviously it was not possible because Indian subcontinent is a vast landmass and it had huge regional diversities within the subcontinent, and the difficulties of communication. How do we communicate that these laws are important to different parts of India, especially to the extreme south or to the extreme east or to the extreme west? So this obviously brings out the fact that even though Brahmins had tried to make these codes and laws popular all over Indian subcontinent, but this was not 100% possible because India is a huge landmass and the influence of Brahmanas cannot be all pervasive, and their influence was only restricted in the parts which were easily accessible. So, what is interesting is that Dharma Sutras and Dharma Shastras had laid down 8 forms of marriage. Now, out of these 8 forms, the first 4 forms are considered to be good. That is, if a marriage is a type of the first 4, what have been laid down in these Shastras and Sutras, then it was considered good, while the rest of 8 were condemned. Like, for example, you must have heard about love marriage. So, according to these 8 types of marriage, love marriage was not considered a good type of marriage. So, it was actually one of the later 4 types of marriages. So, I'm just giving you an example that these 8 types of marriage. So, love marriage was also, it is called Gandharva Vivaha. So, Gandharva Vivaha, according to the Brahmins, were considered to be bad. For some reason. So the 8 forms of marriage, or in your book, 4 forms of marriage are already laid down. So you can just read it out. It's not that important. Like, for example, 6th form of marriage is the voluntary union of a maiden and her lover. As I told you, the Gandharva Vivaha, it was not considered to be good. Another marriage is when the bridegroom receives a maiden after having given as much wealth as can afford to the kinsman. So it is basically Asur Vivaha, and Asur Vivaha again was not acceptable to the Brahmanas. Next important subtopic is the Gotra of women. So this concept of Gotra emerged during the later Vedic period. I've told you that there was a Rig Vedic period when Rig Ved was composed, and after that the later 3 Vedas were composed, and this period was called the later Vedic period. So during the Rig Vedic period there was no such concept of Gotra, but with the later Vedic period and with the start of various societal evils, Gotra also became an important concept. So, Gotra basically means that everybody belonging to a particular Gotra is considered to be a descendant of a particular rishi. ओके यानी कि हर गोत्र एक वैदिक सियर यानी वैदिक ऋषि के नाम पे बनाया जाता है, and everybody who belongs to that gotra is considered to be the descendant of that particular Vedic seer or rishi. Okay, so the rules were laid down that no women should marry inside their father's gotra. So this, I have already told you that this was called exogamy. So women were expected to marry outside their gotra. ठीक है, apart from that, The women were expected to give up their father's gotra and adopt their husband's gotra on marriage. यानी कि जैसे कि marriage के बाद there is a very famous norm that women always gives up their surname and they adopt the surname of their husband. So this was an important practice. यानी कि first of all, there has to be exogamy. You cannot marry, a woman cannot marry with a person belonging to the same gotra. Apart from that, when she gets married, she has to give up the gotra of her father and has to accept the gotra of her husband. So these were the two laws that were related to gotra of a woman, referring or related to marriage. So one way to find out whether this was commonly followed is to consider the names of men and women. I have already told you people used to have gotra as their surnames. So to find out whether this gotra concept was followed or not, the information can be received by studying the gotra names of the people. Like these names are available for powerful ruling lineages Satvahanas. Now Satvahanas is again very important here because Satvahanas are considered to be exceptions in a few cases. Like we'll read about it. First important point about Satvahanas is that they were metronymic, which is an exception for a very very long time, because we know that people generally follow the name of their fathers after their birth, correct? But Satvahanas were an exception because their names were taken from their mother. Like for example, the term Gautami Putra Satkani. So Gautami Putra Satkani was a very important Satvahan ruler, and he took his name from her mother, from his mother, that is Gautami Putra, Putra of Gautami. Similarly, another ruler of Satvana is Vaishishta Putra. So Vaishishtika Putra, Vaishishta Putra Satkani. So this means that they were matronymic. Matronymic is a term which means that the rulers are taking, or anybody is taking, the name of their mothers as their name after their birth. So this again shows that there was a lot of respect for women in the culture of Satvahanas, and these Satvahanas rulers belonged to the western or the Deccan part of India. So they used to rule over parts like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. So in the ancient period, Satavahanas were considered to be extremely important dynasty ruling in the western part of India. So another exception about Satavahanas is that they evidently retained these names instead of adopting names derived from their husband's gotra, which means that the woman, again I have told you that gotra ka rule kya hota tha, that woman has to give up the name of her father's gotra and has to accept her husband's gotra on marriage. But सातवाहन में अगेन ये एक्सेप्शन है. वी सी दैट गौतमा और वैशिष्ट जो भी नेम्स हैं ये विमेन के थे विच हैव बीन डिराइव फ्रॉम देयर फादर्स गोत्र. So after their marriage, they did not give up their father's gotra and did not accept the gotra of their husband. So this again is an exception in Satvahanas, where we see that there was the retaining of gotra by the women who were marrying in the Satvahanas. Next important exception about Satvahanas is that these some of these women belonged to the same gotra. Again हमने ये exception हमने देखा कि rule ये है that a woman cannot marry within their gotra, but कुछ women जो सातवाहन royalty हैं, they had married in their same gotra. So this again is an example of endogamy, that is marriage within the kin group, and this was prevalent among several communities in South India as well. तो इससे क्या होता है, the advantage was that it ensured a closed knit community, because आप अपने गोत्र के अंदर ही marriage कर रहे हो and you are more strongly related to each other. So this led to a lot of close confidence community, and this was beneficial for the strength of the dynasty. Last point here is, were mothers important? Now we have seen that Satavahan rulers were metronymic, which means that they must have given a lot of respect to their mothers or the females of their family. But we have to be very cautious while coming to this conclusion, because they were still patrilineal, that is, the succession was transferred to the males of the family. So this was the entire part related to Gotra and rules of marriage. In the next part, we'll talk about the social differences based on caste. So see you.